Picture yourself sprawled on a dusty mat in a Mesopotamian courtyard. Circa 1800 BCE, the air thick with the scent of barley, clay, and the faint whiff of a goat who's eyeing your lunch. A bird swoops oddly overhead, and a neighbor whispers it's a sign of doom, or maybe just a bad lunch. Fast forward to a Roman alley or an Egyptian market, where a sneeze or a wonky cloud had folks clutching their amulets in quiet panic. Ancient life was a minefield of omens, with every gust, growl, or goblet spill hinting at fate's next move. These signs, scribbled on clay or muttered in temples, turned daily routines into a game of cosmic guesswork, part superstition, part hope I read that crow right. We're not here to spook you, leave that to the soothsayers, but to chuckle at their jittery antics, wrapped in the hum of ancient days. So fluff your imaginary tunic, ignore the distant caw of a suspicious raven, and let the rustle of reeds, the flicker of a lamp, and their nervous mutterings lull you into a cozy, amused snooze. We're diving into 10 tales of omen-driven fears, each a peek into the twitchy, sign-obsessed world of ancient daily life. From Babylonian farms to Roman forums, we'll wander through their anxious rituals, savoring the scent of incense, the clink of divining tools, and the sheer audacity of seeing fate in a sheep's liver. These omens were a blend of dread, hope, and better check the sky again. Grab a mental mug of wine, settle in, and let's giggle our way through the quiet fears of ancient omens, each one a sleepy, snarky gem. Imagine lounging in a Sumerian village, 2000 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of mud, sesame, and the faint whiff of a farmer's sweaty kilt. A crow flaps left instead of right, and everyone freezes, muttering about cursed crops. The air's buzzing with the scratch of a stylus, the clink of clay tablets, and the distant bleat of a goat. Cuneiform texts, like Enuma Anu Enlil, show Mesopotamians reading bird flights as omens, with a leftward swoop signaling troubles brewing. Let's slip into this feathery chaos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of clay, and their nervous glances make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Bird omens per Sumerian tablets predicted everything from floods to failed marriages. A hawk circling thrice might mean victory, while a sparrow's odd hop spelled bad news. The air thick with the drone of priests and the smell of wax. Farmers eyeing the sky probably muttered, "Hope that bird's just lost." Every flight was a sign, the air tense with the rustle of reeds and the hope of good omens. Life around this was jittery. Villages buzzed with bird talk, the air heavy with the clink of jars and the scent of beer. Scribes, dodging angry farmers, etched omens, their hands steady, the air warm with the chant of prayers and the effort of calming fears. Neighbors at markets whispered about that bad crow, the air thick with the smell of barley and the murmur of "we're doomed." The community loved the drama, snickering over stew about a scribe's wrong bird, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when a sparrow ruins your day. Birds were a hassle, and as the courtyard fades, let's shift to Egyptian animal omens, where cats were cosmic. Picture yourself perched by the Nile in Memphis, 1500 BCE, the air warm with the scent of lotus, papyrus, and the faint whiff of a fisherman's spilled beer. A cat crosses your path, and a priest gasps, claiming it's a sign from Bastet about life or death. The air's buzzing with the scratch of a reed pen, the clink of amulets, and the distant hum of a hymn. Egyptian texts, like the Book of the Dead, show animals as omens, with cats or crocodiles hinting at divine will. Let's saunter into this beastly cosmos, letting the flicker of a torch, the whiff of myrrh, and their furry forecasts make you snicker as you sink toward slumber. Animals, per Egyptian beliefs, carried divine messages. A cat's yawn might mean prosperity, while a crocodile's snap signaled death's near. The air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of incense. Priests, watching critters, probably muttered, "Hope that cat's not just napping." Farmers and nobles alike feared these signs, the air tense with the rustle of papyrus and the hope of Bastat's favor. Life around this was nervy. Markets hummed with animal talk, the air heavy with the clink of offerings and the scent of lotus. Priests, dodging anxious crowds, read omens, their hands busy, the air warm with the chant of spells and the effort of pleasing gods. Citizens, sharing bread, whispered about that lucky cat, the air thick with the smell of beer and the murmur of hope it's good. The community loved the buzz, snickering over figs about a priest's crocodile scare, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when a cat runs your life. Animals were oracles, and as the Nile fades, let's shift to Greek weather omens, where clouds got spooky. Imagine sprawling on an Athenian hillside, 450 BCE, the air warm with the scent of olives, dust and the faint whiff of a shepherd's unwashed chiton. A cloud twists into an odd shape, and a farmer mutters it's a sign of drought or death. The air's buzzing with the strum of a lyre, the rustle of tunics, and the distant bleat of a goat. Hesiod's Works and Days shows Greeks reading weather as omens, with clouds or winds predicting life's ups and downs. Let's dive into this breezy chaos, letting the flicker of a torch, the whiff of myrrh, and their cloudy fears make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Weather omens, per Greek texts, tied storms to fate. A dark cloud might mean famine, while a sudden breeze signaled new life. The air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of wax. Farmers, squinting at the sky, probably muttered, "Hope that's just a cloud, not Zeus' bad mood." Every gust was a sign, the air tense with the rustle of cloaks and the hope of good harvests. Life around this was twitchy. Villages buzzed with weather talk, the air heavy with the clink of coins and the scent of wine. Seers, dodging skeptics, read clouds, their voices grim, the air warm with the chant of hymns and the effort of calming fears. Citizens at festivals whispered about that bad storm, the air thick with the smell of olives and the murmur of hope it's nothing. The community loved the drama, snickering over bread about a seer's wrong cloud, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when a breeze ruins your day. Weather was a worry, and as the hillside fades, let's shift to Roman entrails, where guts got grim. Picture yourself in a Roman forum, 100 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of blood, wax, and the faint whiff of a harrispex's sweaty toga. A priest slices a sheep's liver, claiming its spots predict death or taxes. The air's buzzing with the clink of knives, the rustle of cloaks, and the murmur of what's it say? Cicero's De Divination shows Romans obsessed with entrails, seeing fate in every organ. Let's wander into this gory cosmos, letting the flicker of a fire, the whiff of blood, and their gut-reading antics make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Haruspice, per Roman texts, read livers for omens. A lumpy liver might mean war's coming, while a smooth one signaled life's good. the air thick with the chant of prayers and the smell of gore. Haruspices poking organs probably muttered, "Hope this liver's not lying." Senators and farmers relied on these signs, the air tense with the rustle of togas and the hope of good news. Life around this was messy. Forums hummed with omen talk, the air heavy with the clink of coins and the scent of incense. Priests, dodging angry crowds, reed guts, their hands red, the air warm with the chant of rituals and the effort of pleasing Jupiter. Citizens at markets whispered about that bad liver, the air thick with the smell of wine and the murmur of hope it's fine. The community loved the gore, snickering over bread about a haruspex's slippery gut, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when entrails run your life. Guts were a grind, and as the forum fades, let's shift to Mesopotamian dreams, where sleep got spooky. Imagine huddling in a mud brick house in Babylon, 1700 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of clay, oil, and the faint whiff of a neighbor's burnt stew. You wake from a dream about a snake, and a scribe says it's a sign of death or debt. The air's buzzing with the scratch of a stylus, the clink of lamps, and the distant hum of a prayer. Tablets, like the dream book, show Mesopotamians reading dreams as omens, with every snooze a cosmic warning. Let's slip into this dreamy chaos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of wax, and their nightmare fears make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Dreams, per cuneiform, predicted fate. A snake might mean betrayal, while a river signaled new life. The air thick with the drone of priests and the smell of ink. Scribes interpreting dreams probably muttered, "Hope that snake's not about me." Families feared these signs, the air tense with the rustle of reeds and the hope of good omens. Life around this was nervy. Villages buzzed with dream talk, the air heavy with the clink of jars and the scent of beer. Scribes, dodging anxious clients, etched omens, their hands steady, the air warm with the chant of prayers and the effort of calming fears. Neighbors, sharing stew, whispered about that bad snake dream, the air thick with the smell of barley and the murmur of hope it's nothing. The community loved the drama, snickering over beer about a scribe's wrong dream, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when nightmares run your day. Dreams were a scare, and as the house fades, let's shift to Egyptian sky omens, where stars got spooky. Picture yourself by a temple in Karnak, 1400 BCE. The air warm with the scent of myrrh, sand, and the faint whiff of a priest's singed papyrus. A star flickers oddly, and a seer claims it's a sign of death or drought. The air's buzzing with the clink of amulets, the rustle of robes, and the distant hum of a chant. Texts like the Cairo calendar show Egyptians reading stars as omens, with twinkles dictating daily fates. Let's dive into this starry chaos, letting the flicker of a torch, the whiff of incense, and their celestial fears make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Stars, per Egyptian beliefs, signaled divine will. A bright Sirius might mean life's good, while a dim one spelled trouble. The air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of wax. Seers, squinting at the sky, probably muttered, "Hope that star's not mad at us." Farmers and nobles feared these signs, the air tense with the rustle of papyrus and the hope of good omens. Life around this was twitchy. Temples hummed with star talk, the air heavy with the clink of offerings and the scent of lotus. Priests, dodging anxious crowds, read the sky, their hands busy, The air warm with the chant of spells and the effort of pleasing wry citizens. At markets whispered about that bad star, the air thick with the smell of beer, and the murmur of hope it's fine. The community loved the buzz, snickering over bread about a seer's wrong twinkle. The air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when stars ruin your day. Stars were a worry, and as the temple fades, let's shift to Greek animal omens, where critters got cryptic. Imagine lounging in a Greek village, 400 BCE, the air warm with the scent of olives dust and the faint whiff of a goatherd's sweaty tunic. A goat stares too long, and a seer says it's a sign of death or debt. The air's buzzing with the clink of coins, the rustle of cloaks, and the distant bleat of said goat. Herodotus' histories shows Greeks reading animals as omens, with every bleat or bark a cosmic clue. Let's wander into this beastly cosmos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of myrrh, and their furry fears make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Animals, per Greek beliefs, carried divine messages. A goat's odd hop might mean war's coming, while a dog's howl signaled new life. The air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of wax. Seers, watching critters, probably muttered, "Hope that goat's just grumpy." Farmers and merchants feared these signs, the air tense with the rustle of tunics and the hope of good omens. Life around this was nervy. Villages buzzed with animal talk, the air heavy with the clink of tools and the scent of wine. Seers, dodging skeptics, read omens, their voices grim, the air warm with the chant of hymns and the effort of calming fears. Citizens at festivals whispered about that bad goat, the air thick with the smell of olives and the murmur of hope it's nothing. The community loved the drama, snickering over bread about a seer's wrong bleat. The air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when a goat runs your life. Animals were oracles, and as the village fades, let's shift to Roman weather omens, where winds got weird. Picture yourself in a Roman villa, 50 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of wine, wax, and the faint whiff of a senator's overdone perfume. A sudden gust rattles the shutters, and a seer claims it's a sign of death or taxes. The air's buzzing with the clink of goblets, the rustle of togas, and the murmur of what's it mean. Pliny's natural history shows Romans reading weather as omens, with winds or rains predicting fate. Let's slip into this breezy chaos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of incense, and their windy worries make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Weather omens, or Roman texts, tied storms to divine will. A north wind might mean prosperity, while a sudden rain signaled trouble. The air thick with the drone of prayers and the smell of wax. Seers watching clouds probably muttered, "Hope that breeze isn't Jupiter's mood." Citizens feared these signs, the air tense with the rustle of cloaks and the hope of good omens. Life around this was twitchy. Villas hummed with weather talk, the air heavy with the clink of coins and the scent of grapes. Seers dodging skeptics read winds, their voices grim, the air warm with the chant of rituals and the effort of calming fears. Citizens at feasts whispered about that bad gust, the air thick with the smell of wine and the murmur of hope it's fine. The community loved the buzz, snickering over bread about a seer's wrong wind, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when a breeze ruins your day. Weather was a worry, and as the villa fades, let's shift to Mesopotamian sneezes, where sniffles got spooky. Imagine sprawling in a Babylonian market, 1600 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of barley, dust, and the faint whiff of a trader's spicy stew. Someone sneezes, and a scribe claims it's a sign of death or debt. The air's buzzing with the clink of coins, the rustle of reeds, and the distant hum of a prayer. Cuneiform texts, like omen lists from Nineveh, show Mesopotamians reading sneezes as omens, with every achoo a cosmic warning. Let's dive into this sniffly chaos, letting the flicker of a lamp, the whiff of wax, and their sneezy fears make you chuckle as you drift toward sleep. Sneezes per tablets predicted fate. A right-side sneeze might mean good luck, while a left one signaled bad news. The air thick with the drone of priests and the smell of ink. Scribes, noting sneezes, probably muttered, "Hope that's just dust." Traders and farmers feared these signs, the air tense with the rustle of tablets and the hope of good omens. Life around this was nervy. Markets buzzed with sneeze talk, the air heavy with the clink of jars and the scent of beer. Scribes, dodging anxious clients, etched omens, their hands steady, the air warm with the chant of prayers and the effort of calming fears. Neighbors, sharing stew, whispered about that bad sneeze, the air thick with the smell of spices and the murmur of hope it's nothing. The community loved the drama, snickering over beer about a scribe's wrong achoo, the air thick with fumes and the kind of laughter you get when a sneeze runs your life. Sneezes were a scare, and as the market fades, let's shift to Greek oracles, where omens got vague. Picture yourself in a Delphic shrine, 500 BCE, the air heavy with the scent of laurel, smoke, and the faint whiff of a priestess's herbal brew. She mutters a cryptic omen about a dark sign, meaning life or death, leaving you guessing. The air's buzzing with the clink of offerings, the rustle of cloaks, and the hum of supplicants. Herodotus' history shows Greek oracles dishing vague omens, with every word a cosmic puzzle. Let's wander into this murky cosmos, letting the flicker of a torch, the whiff of incense, and their foggy forecasts make you chuckle as you sink toward slumber. Oracles per Pausanias read signs from birds to smoke, with a cryptic phrase like, "Beware the shadow," meaning anything from war to bad lunch. Priestesses, chanting vaguely, probably muttered, "Hope they don't ask for details." Visitors feared these signs, the air thick with the drone of hymns and the smell of laurel, tense with the rustle of robes and the hope of clear answers. Life around this was mystical. Shrines hummed with omen talk, the air heavy with the clink of bronze and the scent of smoke. Priestesses, dodging annoyed clients, read signs, their voices cryptic, the air warm with the chant of prayers and the effort of sounding divine. Pilgrims, sharing wine, whispered about that vague omen, the air thick with the smell of olives and the murmur of what's it mean. The community loved the mystery, snickering over bread about an oracle's foggy flop, the air thick with fumes, and the kind of laughter you get when omens are unclear. Oracles were a puzzle, and as the shrine fades, let's wrap up with a final reflection, tying these fears together with a smirk. If you close your eyes and let the ancient world slip into focus, you notice how much of daily life revolved around signs. A sneeze, a crooked cloud, a goat that looked at you funny, each could send a family spiraling into worry, rearranging their plans or offering sacrifices to calm the gods. It feels far away, wrapped in dust and incense, but if you tilt your head just a little, the quiet fear of omens starts to look uncomfortably familiar. We might not stare at livers anymore, but we still seek patterns in the noise, hoping the universe whispers a clue before we make our next move. The world of omens, in many ways, never left us. It just traded crows for charts, priests for pundits, and temples for glowing screens. Consider the Mesopotamian farmer watching a crow flap left instead of right. To him, that bird was more than feathers. It was a message about whether to sow barley or hold back for fear of famine. Now picture a modern investor staring at a jagged red line on a stock market app. Both are squinting at movement in the air or on a screen, wondering if fortune smiles or disaster lurks. The farmer leaned on scribes etching omen lists, the investor on analysts filling spreadsheets. Neither truly controls the sky nor the market, but both cling to the comfort of interpretation. The crow's wing and the candlestick chart live in the same anxious corner of the human brain. In ancient Egypt, a cat's yawn could ripple through a neighborhood like breaking news. Based its furry oracle meant prosperity or doom depending on the twitch of a whisker. Swap the Temple of Memphis for a modern living room, and you find millions watching their pets with a similar superstition. We post videos of cats staring at empty corners, half joking they see ghosts. We mutter about dogs barking before earthquakes. Even in an age of science, we project cosmic meaning onto the creatures beside us, asking them to stand between us and uncertainty. The Egyptians would recognize us instantly, nodding knowingly as we laugh nervously at a cat's midnight zoomies. The Greeks watched the sky, worrying that a stray gust or a twisted cloud was Zeus scribbling warnings overhead. Today, we refresh weather apps compulsively, fretting over storm icons, radar swirls, or the dreaded phrase, atmospheric river. The difference is mostly technological veneer. Their oracles read omens in thunder. Ours read them in Doppler loops. But the effect is the same. Birthday parties canceled, crops feared for, trips postponed. When the wind rattles our window, we may not burn incense, but we sigh at the forecast with the same helpless shrug an Athenian farmer once gave to a moody breeze. And then there were the Romans with their sheep livers. Few things feel as distant from us as a haruspec's elbow deep in entrails. Yet peel back the gore, and the practice isn't so alien. They believed the gods embedded signs in the body of an animal. We believe probabilities hide in the body of data. Our surgeons, economists, and data scientists cut into flesh or numbers, announcing life expectancies, market crashes, or viral curves. The language has shifted from divine will to statistics, but the ritual feels eerily similar. Gather the experts, watch them interpret obscure symbols, and adjust your future based on their solemn pronouncements. Dreams haunted the Mesopotamians, with snakes slithering through sleep, meaning betrayal or debt. Today, the dream dictionaries sold in bookstores echo that tradition almost word for word. We might smile knowingly at a Babylonian scribe scribbling dream omens, yet millions of us still type dream of teeth falling out meaning into search engines at 2 a.m. The vocabulary has changed, the medium swapped from clay to digital, but the quiet yearning for hidden meaning in our subconscious is timeless. Both then and now, a nightmare is not just a bad stew, but a whisper of fate. The Egyptians' obsession with stars glimmering or dimming in ominous patterns also finds its echo in our lives. Astrology apps top App Store charts, promising guidance for Mercury retrogrades and lunar eclipses. Where a priest once pointed at Sirius and declared fortune or famine, a modern notification tells us, "Today is not the day for financial decisions. Trust your intuition." Skeptics laugh, yet the popularity of horoscopes shows the same hunger. In a vast, uncontrollable cosmos, we crave the comfort of believing the stars notice us. Whether by torchlight or smartphone glow, we still tilt our heads upward, hoping the sky answers back. Greek goats and Roman breezes may sound quaint, but they were simply part of a culture of everyday signals. The goat's stare was a message, the wind's rattle a verdict. Today we trade those omens for signals like traffic lights, Wi-Fi bars, or social media likes. A single dropped call feels like a curse. A single red notification can send a heart racing, just as surely as a goat's bleat once did. The medium of anxiety is new, but the nervous spark is ancient. We still believe the world is filled with signs that point at us directly, even if those signs are now crafted by algorithms instead of gods. Even sneezes had their place in omen lore. A right-sided sneeze in Babylon meant luck, a left one disaster. The logic may seem silly until you notice how much superstition clings to sneezes even today. "Bless you" is a modern spell muttered instantly, reflexively born from fears that souls could slip out or evil spirits could slip in. In some cultures, sneezing still means someone is talking about you, a myth that floats comfortably alongside weather apps and medical science. One puff of air from the nose, and suddenly we're back in the marketplace of Nineveh, nervous about what fate has in store. And then there were oracles, the ultimate vague fortune-tellers. The Delphic priestess muttered cryptic lines like, "Beware the shadow," leaving kings to scratch their heads while deciding wars. Today we find our oracles in pundits, futurists, and even artificial intelligence. They speak in forecasts peppered with likely, projected, and could, offering truths that are simultaneously precise and hazy. Like Croesus misreading the oracle before his disastrous war, modern leaders often gamble on half-clear predictions, learning too late what the warning really meant. The Delphic smoke and the glowing news tickers serve the same role, deliver mystery cloaked as wisdom. What links all these threads? Birds, cats, clouds, livers, dreams, stars, goats, breezes, sneezes, and oracles isn't just superstition. It's the human craving to tame uncertainty. Ancient lives were fragile, balanced on harvests and weather, prey to plague or invader. Reading omens turned chaos into narrative. Today our lives are buffered by science, medicine, and technology, yet the same fragility lingers. Stock markets crash, storms rise, pandemics spread. And so we read our own omens, algorithms, forecasts, charts, likes, swipes, signals, different tools, same fragile hearts. The continuity is almost comforting. So when you chuckle at the image of a Roman senator fretting over a sheep liver, pause and glance at the glowing rectangle in your hand. The senator whispered, "Is the God with me?" You whisper, "Is the Wi-Fi strong? Did my post get likes? Did the forecast say clear skies?" Both of you are trying to peek at tomorrow before it arrives. Both of you are simply human, nervous, and hopeful, staring at signs and hoping to make sense of a world that will always keep some secrets. The omens never died. They just changed clothes. And perhaps with a smirk, we can admit we're still as twitchy as ever. As the hum of ancient omens fades, the clink of divining tools, the rustle of cloaks, the scent of wax and slightly burnt stew, let your mind flop into the quiet, like a farmer after dodging a bad crow. We've wandered through the quiet fears of omens in ancient life, from Mesopotamian birds to Roman winds, each a testament to their twitchy, sign-obsessed world. Their days were a whirlwind of sneezes, clouds, and is that goat staring at me? Yet they were also a place where every sign sparked hope, dread, and better check the liver again. Picture yourself now tucked into a soft bed, the air still and the chaos of their cosmos far away, their nervous mutterings a distant chuckle. These omens, quirky and spooky, remind us that even in history's twitchiest moments, people were gloriously, messily human. Let the details slip away like a lamp flickering out in a dusty courtyard. The smoky shrines, the bustling markets, the taste of wine and omen-soaked air, they fade into the background, leaving only the peace of this moment and a lingering smirk. You've journeyed through a world where fate hid in every sneeze, its seer's earnest chants and farmers' wary glances keeping its story alive. Now it's time to rest, to let go of the ancient antics and sink into calm. Close your eyes, if you haven't already, and let the gentle absurdity of history lull you into sleep, safe in the silliness of now.